So Assassin's Creed Shadows cannot seem to catch a break ever. It is being destroyed by literally everybody, both by gamers in the United States and in Japan, who have all united against Ubisoft and their ridiculous take on Japan in Assassin's Creed Shadows with a character named Yasuke who was never a samurai. It is being revealed now. That was a fabricated, manufactured lie created by a white dude in the UK, which we'll get to in just a second, but we have another very interesting story to talk about, as they are now stealing things from different TV shows in order to advertise their video game on one of the worst displays at the Japan Expo that I have ever seen. I don't know if you guys have been to the Japan Expo, but it is underway as a couple of days ago. I'm not sure how long it goes on for, but I came across a bunch of information that I just have to share with you all. So, at the Japan Expo, Assassin's Creed Shadows was being shown by Ubisoft there, and they had several products on display to show how awesome their game was. The problem was, most of these products aren't even in the game. They are stolen from different parts of media, including One Piece, and it is hilarious. This is just so funny. So check out this post that I translated from French. Katana and Yasuke's mask, or even artwork from the game, our Ubisoft stand at Japan Expo offers you an immersive experience. We'll immerse you in the spirit of the game with us until Sunday, July 14th. So that is, the Japan Expo is likely ending today, but this was from Assassin's Creed France. This really is them, even though they are not verified, and they were showing a bunch of these objects at the expo. So you have the Assassin's Creed thing right here. This is obviously Ubisoft's, but when you go over here, you see this sword. Now, upon initial glance, this may not look like much, but when you go to Amazon, you're going to see something quite fascinating, because this just so happens to be a replica of Roronoa Zoro's swords from the TV show. Okay, this is actually a replica. It is exactly the same. People are like, it's not exactly the same. You know, in the show, it looks slightly different. No, you have to understand the context of what I'm saying. This is the sword, and I'm going to show you that exact sword in just a moment, but you have to see these other photos. So you have the Yasuke helmet. I have to remember that it's Yasuke, because people were criticizing me in the comments the other day. They're like, you keep saying Yasuke. It's not Yasuke, okay? That's the American way of saying it. I'm like, I'm sorry about that. It's Yasuke. I got it. But this is the helmet, and when you go over to the right, you have this little statue, which I just cackled at when I saw it. And this can be proven through a very helpful community note at the very bottom. So if you take a look at this community note and translate it, it says the image posted by the official Assassin's Creed website shows a selection of products that are not related to the game. They're not even part of the game. The second image closely resembles a replica of the Sandai Katetsu sword used by Zoro, a character in the manga One Piece, currently not sold on Amazon. And the third image, okay, that little statue is a geisha doll from the Chinese brand Hamsfu that is being sold on Amazon. This is also not currently being sold on Amazon. And here is the set of swords. This is what they took from Amazon in order to put on display at the Japan Expo. It's the exact same sword, because if you look right back at that photo, it's pretty much the same thing. It is the same thing. It's the exact same sword, and this is what they're using on their display. I mean, that is just crazy. And then that statue, let's take a look at the statue too. Hamsfu! Japan Geisha Kimono Figurine Oriental Doll Ornament Asian Geisha Girl Figure Kokeshi Craft Statue Ethnic Collectible Decoration Gift. None of this stuff has to do with the game. See, these are things that they just pulled from Amazon to put on their very garbage display, which you're going to take a look at. I mean, really, guys, how pathetic and incompetent would you have to be to do something like this? Pretty darn. I mean, this is a sword from One Piece. They could easily have gotten a samurai sword that looks somewhat like the sword that Yasuke uses in Assassin's Creed Shadows, but they decided to take the lazy route and take things from different parts of media that have nothing to do with it in order to make their game look better, which is unprofessional at the very least. I mean, this is Zoro. This is One Piece, dude. This has nothing to do with it, and this is just some random statue from Amazon. They could have gotten a much cooler looking one than this. I mean, they could have even gotten a collector's spare statue of Yasuke or something to put on display. And what is this random statue that they're using? They're clearly very, very bad at advertising their product, and for such a low effort attempt at a convention where you should have gone all out is absolutely pathetic. And what this tells me is that this thing was put together last minute, just thrown together. The guys who were setting up this display were likely told by their bosses to just get a couple of items off of Amazon real quick to put on display, but the result is disastrous, because people aren't even showing up to this display at the Japan Expo. If you take a look at this post from Grums, he points it out. Just got a report from someone at Japan Expo. Ubisoft staff are asking that anyone using the seats at the Assassin's Creed Shadows booth to turn around to face their screen. People were using them as benches to watch the much more popular Nintendo booth across the way. Nobody cares about Ubisoft. This is in Japan, and this video game from the West is about Japan, so you would think that people would be swarming to this game to see what it's all about. But when you take a look at the actual booth, it looks really disappointing. And that's probably why they keep telling people to turn and face the screens. If you look behind me and zoom in at that photo over there, it looks like only a few people are sitting here. There's like maybe 5, 6, 7 people sitting on the bench, and they're all staring at this screen of gameplay they've already seen before, like a bunch of zombies, because Ubisoft employees told them that they have to watch it if they're going to sit on the benches, which is absurd. But that's the desperation that Ubisoft is experiencing right now, which is why we keep getting photos that show that this is an extremely uninteresting expo. People are not watching this. I mean, everybody, as he says in the previous post, are going over to the Nintendo booth instead, which, as you can see from this picture, is being swarmed by people. This is just across the way from Assassin's Creed Shadows, so that has to be incredibly disappointing for people that keep jacking up Japanese culture for a quick buck and pushing a message with a fake samurai, a fabricated lie that people have been trying to immortalize for over a decade now, including the very person who has been profiting off of that idea, Thomas Lockley. You see, this post from Learning the Law opens a rabbit hole into a world full of contradiction, hypocrisy, lies, and greed. Insane! Thomas Lockley, responsible for Japan's major deception about Yasuke, was caught editing Wikipedia since 2015. He has since quit social media and claimed he will never play Assassin's Creed Shadows. Portrayed as a hero by the media, he's now seen as Japan's biggest historical scammer. He goes on to say that this has sparked outrage in Japan. Lockley, a UK white man, wasn't just lying, he was supported and covered up by Nihon University. They allowed a scammer to gain prominence, and now everyone is distancing themselves as more information emerges. They truly wanted to erase history, and this is the guy who propped up the Yasuke tale that he helped fabricate. If you see on his posts, he's been doing this since 2015. Now, if you watched my last video on Assassin's Creed Shadows, I pointed out a video, provided insight into the villain that started this entire thing. Wikipedia, some random user back in 2012 created this post about Yasuke that said that he was a close friend and warrior of Nobunaga, and then somebody edited it a year later saying that he was a Bushido for Nobunaga, a samurai. And then in 2015, this guy comes around and he's like, I've taken an interest in this and I want to help this thing to become a normal thing. So what he did was he started putting entries in Wikipedia. This is Thomas Lockley, who was using the name Totori Tom. It says right here on Wikipedia that Totori Tom is Thomas Lockley, a faculty member at Nihon University College of Law, Tokyo, Japan. His interests are primarily Japanese history related. So he joined 12 years ago and he's been doing this ever since. And when you see what he's changed, it becomes very fascinating. 2015, the article of Yasuke, which I keep saying wrong. I keep saying it Yasuke and Yasuke, trying to switch over to this new way of saying it, which was based on an academic paper, is suddenly edited with an account called Totori Tom, which is the same as Thomas Lockley's account name. In 2016, Thomas Lockley publishes the story of Yasuke, Nobunaga's African retainer, on Yasuke, who served Oda Nobunaga, and in 2017, all source information that referred to academic papers by Totori Tom was changed to general books such as Lockley's Nobunaga and Yasuke, the Black Samurai Who Survived, and the above papers were deleted from the bibliography, which is underlined in red because that is very important. They were deleted. October 2018, the only book in the world in this field in Wikipedia by Totori Tom, the only book on the subject in the world, a link to the page of Mr. Expert, the author of blah blah blah. January 2019, he's been doing this for a while. African Samurai, the true story of Yasuke, a legendary black warrior in feudal Japan. In this way, his steady activities from 2015 have come together, and Thomas Lockley has been pulled by the media as an expert on the legend of Yasuke. So the media has been running with this lie for over 10 years, a lie that was propagated on Wikipedia. Of all places, of course, the media goes goes off of Wikipedia when citing sources. This guy has been used as a source for pretty much everything concerning Yasuke all of these years, and there are only a few documents that support the idea that Yasuke was even in Japan or under Nobunaga at all. But there is no mention of him being a samurai, and yet this lie is what they have run with. Now, this guy has, for all intents and purposes, disappeared from social media. Why is that? Well, it's because, as Learning the Law says, people are distancing themselves from him in Japan. And not only that, but the Japanese people have expressed their frustration with this man through something even much larger due to his nonsense, including the fabrication of Yasuke's story and certain aspects of it that sound completely ridiculous when you read them over. This post is from Oliver Gia, and this was back in December of 2023. And what he said was, "I'm aiming to publish my article on Yasuke today, but one of my favorite BS claims around him that I've come across in my research is that he had descendants." Thomas Lockley's book, African Samurai, is full of these baseless speculations. Read this hilarious passage. This is from Thomas Lockley's book on Yasuke. So it says, fast forward 2 centuries and this face appears. I won't read the entire thing, but what it is saying here, he had descendants, not ancestors, but people who lived after him. So the claim is that Yasuke might have had children, and then those children just grew up to be samurai of their own many years later, which is absurd, and there's no real way to prove that. And from what I'm reading here, this guy was apparently working for Nobunaga's enemies anyway. And so the claim is that, well, he kind of looks black, so he could be a descendant of Yasuke. That is just dumb. It's so dumb. But that's the kind of stuff that these people believe. And I can't believe that after all of this time, it only took a few YouTubers and some X accounts to disprove all of these claims. But sometimes unproven claims can be profited off of, which is why Thomas Lockley has banked on this idea for so long. And that is why Japan is apparently starting a petition against him. Japan started a petition to demand Nihon University and Thomas Lockley to correct the misconceptions of Yasuke. The truth always wins. I will read this petition to you really quick. It says, nowadays there is a widespread misunderstanding of Japan's history regarding black people who were favored by Nobunaga named Yasuke. One of the main reasons for this is the book published by Thomas Lockley, an associate professor at Japan University, and his remarks in interviews. He himself seems to admit that it is not a fact, but his own prediction, but he talks about it as if it were a fact, so there are people overseas who cause misunderstandings. Now, if you guys want to understand what that means, I'm going to show you right after this. If this continues, the history of Japan will be established overseas in the wrong way, so we will collect signatures and ask Japan University and Mr. Lockley to respond. I guess they typed that wrong. It's actually Lockley. But what these people are saying is that they don't want their history to be misunderstood and to be established as the truth when there really isn't any truth to be had. If both Japan University and Mr. Lockley are sincere about Japan's history, they should be concerned that predictions that are not based on documents will spread as facts, which is basically what has been happening for all of these years. For over a decade, people have believed that Yasuke is a samurai, and that's why we have Assassin's Creed Shadows in the first place. That's why we have Yasuke as a samurai, because of these fabrications. And they're all based on Wikipedia, which is stupid, but of course Ubisoft takes it on because they believe anything that they see. They believe that anything that even looks slightly Asian can be passed off as some kind of Japanese product, or that people are stupid enough to believe that Zoro's sword from One Piece is actually Yasuke's sword from Assassin's Creed. These people are dumb, and so are the people who enable it. In regards to the petition itself, it's actually doing pretty well. It has 6,666 signatures. Oh, someone hurry up and get them to their next goal, but the petition's actually doing pretty well. I mean, this is about a university professor. I'm surprised that it has so many signatures, but the expression of frustration from the Japanese people is through the roof right now. And to put the second part of the paragraph into context, where he said that it is not a fact but his own prediction, there is proof that this is the case. I saw a post here from Permaband. I am glad that Thomas Lockley is getting more widespread. He explicitly says Yasuke's samurai narrative was crafted by himself and a few colleagues to fill in the blanks. As a result, Westerners, particularly Americans, Canadians, take it as some undisputed historical fact. Remember all of those times that we were called racists who just hated black people and couldn't stand the idea that Yasuke could be a samurai historically? Remember when we were all called terrible things for believing that there was something amiss? Well, this person points out several timestamps in a video that I'm going to show you that put these theories to rest. Was there really a black samurai? And in this video at the 29:37 mark, Thomas Lockley says the core things about Yasuke Yasuke, they were already there. That was what I read in 2009 when I found this first story. There was nothing else extra, and when we make the informed research-based assumptions. At the 535 timestamp, at that time, not so much was known about him. It was only a few paragraphs, maybe a couple of pages, something like that. And then at the 832 mark, this is the factual one, points to Japanese version, but then I was asked to team up with Geoffrey Gerard, or Gerard, whichever it is, and write the narrative version you see today, gestures to the narrative novel, which, by the way, again, is mostly fiction. They took a little bit of information that Thomas Lockley had, and they created an embellished tale about Yasuke, the legendary samurai, which is a lie that is now embedded in American culture. 2827, most of the evidence had already been collected by other people, but it needed to be interpreted and put into context. So he's saying that Yasuke was never actually confirmed to be a samurai, since the documents they used, which, by the way, there are only a few of, never truly confirmed it. However, they still passed it off as fact, despite the fact that there is no mention of him actually being a samurai. He was given a few things like money, a sword, and a house, but that really does not mean that he was a samurai. And there really is nothing pointing to that, but that is what they have run with. And so now you've got an Assassin's Creed game set in Japan with a character that was never a samurai being made as a samurai that Japanese people are going to play as he goes around killing a bunch of other actual samurai, which is the most disrespectful and racist thing that you can possibly imagine for a game like this. But what more can you expect from white French Canadians at Ubisoft, or white people from the United Kingdom who have zero understanding of history and want to profit off of things that aren't even true? I mean, in this video itself, he goes on to say that he isn't even sure if it's true.
The core things about Yasuke himself, they were there. That was what I read in 2009 when I found his first story. There was nothing else extra. And when we make the
There was nothing else extra. And other people are starting to notice this too. If you check out this guy's channel right here, his name is Einfach Japanese. I'm not even sure how to fully pronounce that, but you can subscribe to him if you want. And this is a Japanese guy who speaks German. And in this video, for about 10 minutes, he points out this video that I just showed you and rips the entire Yasuke narrative. And it is glorious. Everybody is pushing back against Thomas Lockley. Everybody's pushing back against Ubisoft. Ubisoft cannot even get their products right at conventions set in Japan, as if people would not notice that Yasuke's sword was actually Zoro's sword, because Zoro is a Japanese manga character that comes from Japan. So obviously people are going to see it and point it out. And the Japanese government is tired of the lies of Ubisoft and of Thomas Lockley, and now people are apparently alienating this guy. And now we come to this last part right here. Thomas Lockley lied to the entire world and presented his fan fiction as historical fact and edited Wikipedia for 10 years and tried to hide what he was doing. This is from Redeemer 1014. He goes on to say he blames Assassin's Creed for the hate mail when really he's only mad that he got caught. And here is his Facebook post that I think puts a perfect cap on this story. So, Thomas Lockley, author, is feeling broken. Assassin's Creed leads to hate mail. This Facebook page will be gone soon. Thank you very much for your continued support. Thank you for your support over the years. Due to hate mail connected with Assassin's Creed game, with which I have nothing to do and have no intention of playing, but many people seem to think I am responsible for, I will be freezing this account. This tells me a lot. It tells me that the very man who came up with this story, embellished it, and helped to propagate it over the years so that he could profit off of it for his book that doesn't even contain enough historical facts to support this theory about Yasuke or Assassin's Creed Shadows, won't even play the game that is showcasing his fairy tale. He's not even going to play this game because he feels shame and guilt, because he knows that it's not true and that Ubisoft is playing with far too much fire right now. And so he's like, yep, I was caught. I made those Wikipedia posts and then I propped up my book while changing Wikipedia all of those years, and then a whole bunch of other people, including the mainstream media, believed everything that I said. I'm disgraced, I'm done, and I'm leaving social media. He's leaving social media. This Facebook post no longer exists because he deleted his Facebook account. He's not there anymore. You go over and look for Thomas Lockley, you're not going to find him. At least until the government finally decides to go after him, because these facts are public record and they're not hard to find. The Japanese government is looking for a reason to go after Assassin's Creed Shadows. They have plenty of evidence to support it now. The man who came up with these things, some white dude in the United Kingdom, whose opinion a bunch of angry Ubisoft shills are defending to the death, dying on the hill of, so that they can live in their fantasy world where Assassin's Creed Shadows is actually the most accurate Japanese depiction in video game history. history. He has no intention of playing it. I wonder what the Japanese government is going to do when they discover the truth about everything. Are they going to slap this guy with a fine? Are they just going to tarnish his reputation or tell people like, hey, this guy is no longer reliable. He can't be trusted with historical documents. From what I'm reading, people at the university are alienating him, and there's a petition against him. There's just so much against this guy. It's only fitting that he disappears from the face of the earth. I doubt that even Ubisoft wants anything to do with this game now, but they're very silent about it. They're not saying much. That should tell you a lot too. It's been a couple of days. Now, I'm certain more facts are going to come to light as the days go by, but one thing can be certain. Assassin's Creed Shadows is a disaster. Whether it is a profitable disaster or not has yet to be determined, but what I am confident in is that Ubisoft doubling and tripling down on the Yasuke narrative as well as the mainstream media's defense of it can only be shown to be false if you spread the word about it, get the truth out there, and call out these people for trying to push a bunch of lies in order to push a product, a complete and disrespectful waste of time for the people of Japan. And that is all I've got for you guys in this video today. I hope you all enjoyed it. If you haven't had the chance to like it and share it with your friends, that would be awesome. And hey, if you're feeling ultra spicy, consider subscribing to my channel so that you're always up to date on what kind of thing I've got going on. I look forward to seeing you all in the next one. Later. Meow meow.